Hi, I've been prompting ChatGPT to tell stories, and today I've asked it to rewrite a scene from popular children's franchise Harry Potter. And I thought this one was really funny, so I thought I would read it to you. I entered into ChatGPT, write a story. At the start of year's speech, Dumbledore won't stop talking about how terrified he is of parrots. ChatGPT responded with, "The Great Hall of Hogwarts was adorned with floating candles, their gentle light casting a warm glow over the long tables filled with students. The beginning of a new school year was always an exciting time, full of promise and anticipation. The first years were wide-eyed and nervous, while the older students exchanged cheerful greetings and shared stories of their summer adventures. At the head of the hall, the staff table was occupied by the school's esteemed professors. In the centre, of course, sat Albus Dumbledore, the venerable headmaster, known for his wisdom and eccentricity. As the students settled down into their seat, a hush fell over the hall. Dumbledore stood, his long silver beard gleaming in the candlelight, and raised his hand for silence. "Welcome, welcome everyone, to another year at Hogwarts," he began, his voice carrying the familiar warmth that immediately put the students at ease. "I hope you are all as excited as I am to embark on another journey of learning and discovery." The students applauded, and Dumbledore smiled, his eyes twinkling behind his half-moon spectacles. But as he continued, there was a noticeable change in his demeanour. The twinkle in his eye dimmed, and he seemed almost distracted. "Before we dive into the usual start of term announcements," Dumbledore said, his voice taking on an unusual quaver, there is something that has been weighing on my mind, a fear that I must confess, for it has been haunting me for quite some time now." The students exchanged puzzled glances. What could possibly unnerve the great Albus Dumbledore? "Parrots," he said, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "Yes, parrots. They terrify me." A ripple of astonished murmurs spread through the hall. Dumbledore took a deep breath and continued, as if a dam had burst and he could no longer hold back his words. "You see, when I was a young boy, I encountered a parrot in a pet shop. It was a vibrant creature with feathers of green, blue and gold, but its eyes seemed to bore into my very soul. And then it spoke. 'Hello, Dumbledore,' it said in a voice eerily like my own. I was petrified." The students were captivated, their expressions ranging from curiosity to amusement. "Since that day," Dumbledore continued, "I've had several encounters with parrots, each one more unsettling than the last. Their beady eyes, their sharp beaks, and worst of all, their uncanny ability to mimic. It's as if they're mocking us, don't you think?" He paused, and a nervous chuckle escaped from somewhere in the hall. Encouraged by the reaction, Dumbledore went on. "I remember a particularly harrowing incident when I was in my 20s. I was visiting a tropical island for some much-needed rest. Little did I know, the island was teeming with parrots. I couldn't escape them. They were everywhere, watching, waiting, and whispering. I barely made it through that trip with my sanity intact." By now, the students were struggling to suppress their giggles, and even the professors were smiling. "Parrots," Dumbledore said with a shudder, "are far more sinister than they appear. They may seem like harmless, colourful birds, but mark my words, they are cunning creatures. So if you ever come across a parrot, be wary. They are not to be trusted." With that, he seemed to shake off his reverie, looking around the hall as if he was suddenly remembering where he was. He smiled, though it was a bit sheepish, and straightened his robes. "But enough about my irrational fears," he said, his usual twinkle returning to his eyes. "Let us turn our attention to more important matters, like the Forbidden Forest being, as always, forbidden, and the start of Quidditch trials next week. Welcome to Hogwarts, everyone, and may this year be as magical as ever." The hall erupted in applause, though there were still scattered chuckles and whispers about Dumbledore's unexpected confession. As the feast began and the students dug into the scrumptious food, the story of Dumbledore's fear of parrots became the talk of the evening, adding a new layer to the legend of Hogwarts' beloved headmaster. I like that his confession about his fear of parrots only endeared the students to him. You get this a lot with ChatGPT. It just adds a positive spin on everything. It's kind of annoying. I really want kind of a bad ending, but it never does that. It always ends up with something like, and it made him realise how lucky he was to have such motivational people around him or something. Maybe next time I'll specify and say, give me a stupid ending or something. Anyway, have fun.